Greetings, brothers. Good afternoon. How is everybody today? Hope you are well. Let me just throw the chat up on here, the screen. Perfect. Cool. Morning, Matt, Steel, Rain, and Lord Losajic. How are you guys doing? Good afternoon to anyone in Europe, etc. We're going to get into it today on 4 army lists. Today's army lists are submitted by James Gibb and John Collins, who are both members, so big shout out to the members and everyone green in chat. You guys are super appreciated, you know that. And Peter Baldry and Matt Milber are our other 2 lists for today. Nice to see all you guys filtering in. Intro music is a bit loud compared to your voice for the future. Alright, appreciate the heads up. I turned this microphone down because people said it was popping pretty badly. So probably because I turned that down, I need to turn down the music a little bit. Okay, cool. So, yeah, today is the 28th. As always, we do 4 army lists on the show. If you do want to submit your list for consideration in the future, what you need to do is you need to head to YouTube, just exactly like I am doing here. You need to type in BA Commander. You need to go and click on the channel here. BA Commander, and then you need to click over on Community, and in the latest community post, which is this one, you just put a comment. It doesn't matter which is the latest one, but you'd always just put a comment and throw your army list there, just in text. It doesn't need to be a file or anything, just the text from your army list, and I will find it and answer, and I'll answer you and let you know that it's been added to the queue. Okay. Hello, James. I am very cozy and warm in this new house. Sometimes in this room with this new light, well, it's not a new light, but sometimes in the room with this light, it actually gets too warm in here. But the weather in Scotland right now is freezing. I think when I checked this morning, it said it was feels like -3 outside, and it doesn't feel cold at all inside, so that's nice. Unlike my old house. Right, where did I put my lists? Alright, so let's start with James. Cool. Alright, so I have another list to review. Please, looking to take something like this to the Bristol GT in April. You're well prepared then if you're looking at April already. Hello, Rilo. Good afternoon. After your feedback on the Sangregard, I'm leaning towards the Death Company instead, as they give me the option for the 5+++ shrug, I guess, to buff the native 6 shrug. And also Forlorn Fury to threaten a turn 1 charge, to try and counter the mobility and damage dealing of Lights of Thousand Suns, Grey Knights, etc. A Patrol and Vanguard with the Assassin Reliquary combo for some anti-Psyker options. Okay, I mean, we talked about this Assassin Reliquary option a few weeks ago. I think when we talked about it, we may have made a mistake. The Calexis Assassin, hopefully I spelled that right. Yeah, Calexis, almost. It's -2 to Psychic Tests. I think we thought this was -1, and the Reliquary was almost -1, so it's actually -3. I mean, potentially you have to have both these characters really close together, but I mean, maybe that's fine to try. So I need to run this one time and see how I feel. -3 to all Psychic tests within 12 inches. I mean, Grey Knights have ways to cast on 3d6 and pick the highest, so -3, are you really going to mess with them that much? Hard to say. Does anyone know, is John's Element Games affiliate link works for any purchase on the bundle on that site, or only the Blood Angels Commander bundles? No, it works for everything, DTM. You just, once you go to Element Games, via the link, I guess it throws like a cookie onto your computer, and if you buy anything, I think, in that session, then the affiliate money gets paid back to me, and it's pretty nice. I won't lie. I mean, some of the affiliate purchases, somebody spent like well over $500 on a single purchase from Element Games. I was like, what on earth did they buy? But somebody did it. And sometimes I get as much as is between like 2 and 5%. So really nice surprise when that happened. Okay, so we're going to focus on Death Company. We're going to try and give -3 to all Psychic tests. I wonder how you feel about Soul Warden in conjunction with these, but let's see what you've got in the list. Alright, strategies to threaten the turn 1 charge of the Death Company. right up the middle, possibly even with adaptive tactics for Assault Doctrine buff. I mean, I guess if you're going to spend a lot of points to get the Death Company up the board like that, giving them Assault Doctrine is probably going to be worth it. Thunderhammers are kind of weak without Assault Doctrine now, you know, just -2, -3 is really nice. Alright, with Lieutenant and Blade Guard as well as Apothecary and Dante pushing through the mid-board as well with a Redemptor to get Chapter Master rerolls. The Assassin will most likely drop down mid-board and put a big nerf to Psychic protecting my melee threats. Other Dread to be supported by Tech Marine, and the Damocles to anchor one flank with the Volcon hopefully screening out a corner so everything is getting reroll 1s to hit and wound in that corner. Whirlwind is on the other corner within Cursors and Van Vets, Eliminators freestyle, probably take both Rod and either engage or abhor. Yeah, or a mission specific one I guess, like priority targets or bring it down depending on what you're up against. I feel that Sanguinary Guard really struggle at the moment. There's so much 2 damage weaponry and having the potential for a 5 up shrug may be more effective right now. Yeah, Sanguinary Guard are a strange one. So my experience in the last few months was like I ran a 7-man Sanguinary Guard, like I said. They were good, they do a lot of damage, but whenever anyone focuses on them, they die. So I thought I'll add an eighth member to my Sanguinary Guard so that like there's a little bit more staying power and extra model, and again, it made no difference. When anyone focuses on them, they die. So I think with Sanguinary Guard, my thought now is multiple smaller squads. I think Steel Rain was saying 3 squads of 7 is what he runs. I'm not sure I have the points to go that far, but I think if you can run multiple smaller squads, it's probably going to be more effective than one large squad. And I played a game against Andrew with the Titans with the 2 5-man Sanguinary Guard squads just last Monday, and I mean I wrecked that Titan list. I don't know if that was a valid. Like a valid game, because I just wrecked Andrew so hard. Yeah, it's 18 inches, isn't it? For the -2 to the Psychic. Yeah, so -3 within 18 inches. Okay, but yeah, Sanguinary Guard are in a tough place. I don't think they're a bad unit. I don't prefer Death Company to them personally. I think it's expensive to get that 5-up shrug on the Death Company. I think you have to pay 2 CP if it's more than 5 models. So if you're talking about Forlorn Furying a 10-man Death Company and Adaptive Tactics in them and refusal to dying them, you've burned like 6 CP straight off the bat, which for me, I feel like you're not getting a big enough benefit for that 6 CP, but I mean it's just my opinion. We have to drink every time Steel Rain suggests more Sanguinary Guard in someone's lists. Yeah, I mean that would be a fun drinking game. Are Furioso Dreadnoughts a decent choice nowadays? I haven't played in quite a long time. No. I don't think anyone runs. I guess they're a decent choice if you don't care about competitive stress test. But I think in competitive play right now, no one is running Furioso Dreadnoughts. For whatever reason, they don't have the core keyword. They only move 6 inches. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are running the Redemptors. And I think it must just be that Redemptors, for the extra point costs, are a lot more valuable. And I mean, I'm running Relic Redemptors and Redemptors, and I never run Firstborn Dreads. Sometimes I run a Firstborn Librarian Dread, but yeah, I mean, I think the Death Company and the Furioso Dreadnought right now are not that great. John said there was only like 25 brothers in the Sanguinary Guard. There is in the lore. There is only 25 Sanguinary Guard, at least, unless I'm making that up. I'm pretty sure I'm right, though. I'm not the biggest lore person, but yeah. Hello Outdoor Corey, hello Archon. Okay, so let's get into this list. The Patrol Detachment. We start with the Calixtus Assassin. We have Commander Dante, and he is the Warlord. And when you have the Damocles Command Rhino. For anyone that's not seen the Damocles Command Rhino, it's not a hugely common pick. It's basically a Rhino that can give while friendly units within 6 of this model is always considered to be in range of the following aura abilities of friendly. This is for Imperial Fist, but it would be for Blood Angels. So if you've got a commander or someone on the board that gives rights of battle, like in this case Dante, or if you had someone giving like the tactical precision aura, then the Rhino will always basically amplify that aura or send that aura out in a bundle, in 6 inches. At the start of your command phase, if this model's in the battlefield, roll a d6. On a 5-up, you gain 1 command point. I actually kind of like that. Okay. This is a HQ, this Rhino, though, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, it's a HQ pick. Okay. You only include 1 Rhino for each attachment, yeah. So I guess it's just a Rhino that costs 10 points more. You can't transport anything except 1 Blood Angels character model. And it can't be a jump back Terminator, Centurion, whatever. So it can take 1 model. But it does give you the aura from the reroll 1's aura from the captain. And possibly Lieutenant again, anywhere on the battlefield. It can also be smoke screened. It's an interesting pick, I guess. I mean, I don't hate it. I guess thing is, like, Dante isn't super survivable, right? So, like, if Dante dies, then the Rhino kind of becomes less worthless. Okay, but you do have a Lieutenant in the list, so you've got both you've got basically around the Rhino, you're getting reroll 1s for hits, reroll 1s for wounds. Okay. Yeah, there is 25 Sangre Guard in the lore. Thank you for keeping me right here. Oh well, per chapter. Okay, per chapter. Yeah, of course. And it gains you 1 CP as well. I kind of forgot that it even had this ability to gain 1 CP. I guess on a 5+, yeah, you're probably going to get 1 or 2 extra CP per game. So it's not horrible. Okay, you got Squad of Incursors, and then you got a 5-man Death Company with. No, it's not 5-man Death Company. Sorry, it's the GW app. It's like put it in single lines. 3 with Thunderhammers, 1 with the Power Sword, 1 with an Infernal Pistol, 3 more with Bolter and Chain Swords. So 8-man Death Company. Okay. So it's going to be very expensive to use your CP to maneuver this Death Company around with Forlorn Fury and make them shrug and stuff. And I imagine you only have 7 CP, so I guess that's the reasoning behind bringing the Rhino to maybe get 1 extra CP. You also have a Relic Contemptor with the Twin Volkite Coverings. You have Eliminators with the Sniper Rifles, and the Sergeant has the Bolt Carbine, and you also have the Whirlwind with the Castellan Launcher. Okay. Seems solid so far. You also have a Lieutenant who has Soul Warden and Reliquary of Gathmore, so that was my question. So you've still taken Soul Warden, even though you've taken Reliquary of Galithmore. And this is the Primaris Lieutenant from Indomitus, the one with the Storm Shield, and I think he is probably the best choice of all the Primaris Lieutenants you can run. He also has the nice Neo Volkite pistol, which I think is decent, so I think he's a good choice for a 90-point Lieutenant. Primaris Tech Marine upgraded to Master of the Forge, so we'll be repairing flat 3. Blade Guard Veterans, we have 4 of them. Again, upgraded to Neo Volkite Pistol. We have a Primaris Apothecary. We have 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. And then we have 5 Vanguard Veterans, all Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. And I think the thing that stands out to me here in this list is you kind of have too many characters. You've got the Lieutenant, you've got the Tech Marine, got the Apothecary, so that's 3, and then you've got Dante and the Assassin, that's 5. So everybody that comes up against you is instantly going to just pick Assassinate. Because I would, if the enemy, there's always, typically when you play games at tournaments at 40k, and if I use the tournament that I was just at, so I basically decided in every game I was going to use Retrieve Octarius Data and Oath of Moment, right? And like I averaged basically, I think it was 8.8 points for Retrieve Octarius Data and averaged like 10 point something points for Oath of the Moment. And then the third secondary is the difficult one. So if you run into an enemy that's got, in this case, 5 characters, does the Damocles Rhino count as a character? No. Okay. So yeah, but still 5 characters. At 5 characters, you are giving up the maximum points for Assassinate. Against this list, Dante isn't typically that survivable. Lieutenant with a storm shield is just 5 wounds, 2 up, 4 up. Tech Marine is just 5 wounds, no invuln save. Primaris Apothecary. You don't have a whole ton of infantry that can be around this Primaris Apothecary to shield him. I feel like the Apothecary is probably the lowest value pick that you've got here, right? Because, like, what's the Apothecary actually doing? He's just hanging out with the Blade Guards. You're not gonna have enough CP to typically res Blade Guard veterans, because it's gonna cost you 1 CP because he's not upgraded to like Chief Apothecary, right? So, 145 plus 80. 225 divided by 35. So you could have 2 3-man squads of Blade Guard veterans as opposed to a 4-man squad and an Apothecary. I don't think you're going to get a lot of value out of that Apothecary in this list. I suppose it depends on did you say where the Apothecary was going to go? I mean, I guess the Apothecary can throw some wounds back onto the characters. Forlorn Fury is more for the threat than to actually use. Typically, we would use either the Forlorn Fury or Refusal to Die. Assassinate is a trap. I mean, Assassinate can be a trap, but I mean, if you've got 5 characters, I would say that most enemies are going to kill 2 or 3 of them, right? So it's a 7 to... Let's say it's going to average between 7 or 10 victory points every game for your enemy. And if the enemy has a good game, then it's going to average like 12 or 15. So I also don't think characters are that strong anymore. Like, I think characters are more force multipliers than particularly strong on their own. So I think the right balance for characters. I've played the list a couple of times. Apothecary lives with the Blade Guard veteran LT, and I've already decided he's not worth it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think the Apothecary is the lowest value character you have in this list, and I think you lose him, and then the maximum the enemy can score now from Assassinate is 13, because they kill your Warlord in the other 3. And I mean, it's still not great. They can still get 13 from it, but you can always hide 1 or 2 characters, so then it does become a trap, like Steel Rain says, and maybe you can sort of only let them score 6 or 7. So that's what I would do. I'd lose the Apothecary. I'd either probably make your Vanguard Veteran Squadron bigger, or the Blade Guard Veteran Squadron. I really like BGVs. I never say that out loud, actually. I always type it down, but never say it out loud. Blade Guard Veterans, I actually really like them as a 5-man. So I'd probably make it a 5-man, and then maybe use the extra points to get... Can you get maybe... I guess you can get 1 more Vanguard Veteran. That's kind of disappointing. Okay, Dante's been a tank. Well, I mean, if you can make Dante into a tank, good for you, because I've never seen him tank. Usually he just gets 1 shot in my games. Does anyone know the benefit of taking Angel's Artifice over the Relic Shield or Armor Indomitus? Does that T6 over T5 make a huge difference, says Kaplan Rilo. I used to run Angel's Artifice, Kaplan Rilo, on my Bike Captain to make him T6. And I thought it was good. I mean, especially if you come up against, like when I was running it, I was playing against, like, Necrons with Gauze Reapers. So that's like a shitload of Strength 5 firepower. So obviously if they're Strength 5, they only wound you on 5s. So it kind of makes it... It is strong in some situations, but I think overall you want the Armor Indomitus, because the Armor Indomitus gives you that 3-up invuln save, and you're still T5 if you're like a Bike Captain. So, yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, you've made the conscious decision to go Death Company over Sanguinary Guard. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I still think Sanguinary Guard are better than Death Company. yeah, I mean, I guess Death Company don't get the -1 to hit in melee, but they can shrug, so it probably all averages out. I mean, maybe against some lists, Death Company are slightly better, but Death Company do also suffer, their Thunderhammers are -1 to hit, whereas Sanguinary Guard, if they're around the Chapter Master, they basically hit on 2s, reroll 1s, which is super strong. I mean, the amount of times I have like a Sanguinary Guard squad get like 25 attacks and make 25 hits. That's what I would do. I like 3 Blade Guard Veterans or 5 myself. I think 5 is optimal. I tried running 3 a few times, and 3 they can actually get wiped out pretty quick. Armor Indomitus with Gift of Foresight is better than Toughness 6. Yeah, I agree with that. The Captain of the Bike and Might of Heroes brings him to Toughness 7, so he's like a Dread with a 4+. Thank you so much for subscribing, Irish user. Yeah, I mean, I've used that as well. I've used Might of Heroes. My Psyker that I run in my list has Might of Heroes. I still think Armor Indomitus is just better, because Armor Indomitus with the reroll, so you can have a 3-up invulnerable, so you can Angel Sacrifice, you can turn on your 3-up invuln, you can reroll 1 for free, and you can spend 1 CP. So you can basically reroll twice on a 3-up invulnerable save, and then if anything does go through, you can shrug it on a 5. I think that's stronger than Toughness 6, 100%. Okay, so what we actually have on the board then: 5 Incursors, 8 Death Company Marines, 1 Relic Contemptor with the Twin Volkites, the Snipers, the Whirlwind, Lieutenant, Tech Marine, Blade Guard. You're thinking of dropping the Apothecary, the 2 Squads of Redemptors, and the Vanguard Veteran Squads. Sorry, no. I kind of think that the Snipers might be a problem in this list as well. When we talk about Snipers, we usually say that to actually be killing things, like to kill characters with Snipers, you kind of need 2 squads of snipers, right? I mean, you could get lucky and kill a character with 1 squad of snipers, but you're hoping for a bit of luck. So okay, you're gonna drop the snipers as well. Yeah, that's the other thing I would have said there is weak. Yeah, I mean, snipers are fine if you want to run 2 squads of them, but I think just 1 squad of snipers is the wrong call. Giving the snipers Quake Bolts would be better. I mean, that's true. Quake Bolts also works well on the Tech Marine, because the Tech Marine hits on 2s, his Forge Bolter can advance and shoot, right? So basically you can get like a 30-something inch away, 30-inch Quake Bolts. So, yeah, making the Death Company bigger and losing the Snipers is fine. I think it's probably a good call. Making the Blade Guard Veterans bigger and losing the Apothecary is probably also the right call. I would love for you to lose another character, but I guess it's hard, right? The one thing to say is, like, if you did lose, like, let's say a Lieutenant, you could cast Wisdom of the Ancients to get the reroll 1s, but I guess that I don't often cast Wisdom of the Ancients. I tried running a Lieutenant myself. I didn't feel like I got enough value out of it. It's a tough one, because my list is kind of similar. Like, I'm running 3 Dreadnoughts, I'm running 5 Blade Guard Veterans, I'm running a Primaris Tech Marine. Rather than Vanguard Veterans and Death Company, I'm running 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, I'm running Cursors, I'm running a similar Chapter Master to Dante, I'm running a Whirlwind. So my list is kind of similar. I mean, I guess you've got some anti-psychic presence in here. And my list obviously isn't the only way to play Blood and Angels. You can win it. You can win games the other way. I think I would prefer your list if you actually had the Bike Captain in here. But I guess if you do include the Bike Captain, then you have to lose some more CP, which I guess to include the Bike Captain, you kind of need to start thinking about a battalion, which changes everything. So, I mean, for a patrol in Vanguard, I think it's pretty decent. I think if this was me and I was forced to run a patrol in Vanguard at the moment, and you're saying you're having like 10 Death Company and 5 Vanguard vets, this is 5, isn't it? I would probably run 2 5-man squads of Sangre Guard and the 5-man Vanguard vet, if that was me, because I don't really rate Death Company this edition. And I get Sangre Guard die quickly, but I'm very good. Like, if you watch any of my games, I'm very, very good at obscuring my Sangre Guard. Not many people get to hit my Sangre Guard until I hit them in combat. Okay. So I guess we've said a few things that could probably change. Let's think about. I guess what we'll do is we'll score it as is, James, and then you'll have to resubmit it once you cut out a couple of those things. Okay, so objective holding, 1 troop choice is usually like a 6.5. Because OBSEC can be kind of important. It's worth, it can win or lose games, OBSEC. So I guess that's why a lot of people. The battalion is strong. That's why Rights of War, I guess, is strong as well. Anti-infantry / horde. Well, you've got 2 dreadnoughts. They both got onslaught cannons and rocket pods and the stormbolters. You also have the Volcon dreadnought. You also have a whirlwind. In the moment, I guess you can use your hyper frag rounds, I think they're called, on the eliminators to kill some horde based stuff. I guess the Calixtus is kind of good against hordes because it's unlikely the enemy will hit them and nothing will be able to take invulnerable saves against them. So, I mean, I guess and Vanguard veterans with lightning claws are pretty good against hordes. So I guess against hordes, I think you're in a pretty good spot. I'm maybe even tempted to go 9 against hordes here. I got my Death Company helmet. I don't rate Death Company this edition. Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't run Death Company, I don't even think, this year. I know it's bad, but like I just don't like that they can't do actions. I think that's one of my big problems with them, is like the end of the game when the board opens up. Sometimes you just need a fast moving jump unit to do you an action and it can win you the game, and Death Company can't do it. So yeah, I'll this year I've painted like no Death Company, and I've painted like 20 more Sangre Guard, and I think I painted 16 Vanguard veterans. And I got 5 more with Lightning Claws that needed finished. And you'll be pleased to know, Steel Rain, I ordered another box of Sangre Guard. So we've got them coming. I actually don't know when they're coming. But we're going to add some more Sangre Guard. I think I counted that I have 21 at the moment, so this will actually put me over 25. I'd rather run Death Company than a single squad at this point. I've got a teammate who only runs Death Company. I mean, fair enough. I just don't. In my playstyle, where I almost try and wait out turn 1 and 2. Death Company just don't synergize with how I'm trying to play the game, I guess. And the heroic intervention stratagem for Sangre Guard, I think puts them kind of ahead of other units, just because that's so strong right now as well. Like, you can win games with that heroic intervention stratagem with Sangre Guard. And also you can get so much extra movement out of them using that sometimes. Like, you can almost get like 12, maybe not 12, but like 10 or 11 inches of extra movement in the enemy's turn with that, which is huge, right? Because you move the 6 inches towards the heroic intervention, you consolidate rounds so that you're closer to them, and then you pile in towards the next unit. Maybe you can't get 11, but you can definitely get 10 inches, I would have thought. I think you probably get 11. Okay. Anti-vehicle monsters. I mean, 3 damage weapons in this list. You've got 2 in each of these dreadnoughts. 1 on the Tet Marine. So that's 5. I'm going to say 1 on this dreadnought, that's 6. The 3 Thunderhammers, that's 9. And then Dante's Pistol, that's 10. I think the Calixtus Assassin has like a D3 damage weapon as well, so let me check. Oh no, it's an assault. I guess it can do D3 or something. Alright, so it's probably 11. So against monsters, 11 3 damage weapons, bunch of dreadnoughts, the Death Company as well. quite a large death company. And Dante, I guess, yeah, 9.5 I'd give you. Mobility-wise, Dreadnoughts aren't mobile, but don't need to be. Bladeguard veterans, I guess, and the Lieutenant and the Tech Marine are definitely not mobile. And Cursors can be mobile with guerrilla tactics, so mobility is maybe like a 7. And then specialization, so you have the fight last. You don't have any denies, but you do have -3 to all psychic tests. Units for actions is kind of lower. You've got your Eliminators, you've got your Incursors, you've got your Bladeguard veterans, that's it, right? Oh, your Vanguard veterans, so 4 units for actions is kind of lower. 3 damage weapons is right, okay. 7 CP, protection against mortal wounds, you've got that as well. So, overall for specialization, I think you can probably get a 9. Like, it kind of does everything it needs to do there. I think what you already kind of hinted at, dropping the least useful units, the Eliminators and the Apothecary can both probably be dropped. And I think I would actually, I know you said you wanted to add 2 more Death Company. I think I would definitely have 2 squads of 3 Bladeguard veterans, because it gives you 1 more squad for basically performing actions, right? I mean, if you just make the Death Company bigger or the Vanguard veteran bigger, you don't get any advantage, whereas 3 Bladeguard veterans can be hidden pretty well, too. So, I wondered if you could actually reserve 3 Bladeguard veterans as well. What's the power level on a Bladeguard veteran squad? 5? Okay, so you could actually reserve a squad of Bladeguard veterans if you wanted. If it contains 4 or more, it jumps straight away to 10. I mean, I think this is okay. I think you can make, if you drop, I think what I would say to you, James, though, is try this list, but try and get rid of 1 more character. Because I really think lists are strongest right now when you have 3 characters. I mean, I'm fine with your Rhino. I really am. I don't have a problem with the Demacles Rhino. And I think you can still get value out of it if you occasionally cast Wisdom of the Ancients on one of the Dreadnoughts and make it tactical precision, right? Or Death Company Assault Intercessors out of the question. Just Firstborn. Unfortunately, yeah, there's no way for the Death Company Assault Intercessors to make it across the battlefield easily, Roy. You either need to spend like 130 points on a Impulsor, give or take, maybe 125, I can't remember the Impulsor off the top of my head, and you can only put 6 models inside it. The Death Company, the Primaris ones get a great amount of attacks, they're just not mobile, which is kind of what the Death Company, they need to be mobile. So because of that, they are, yes, pointless, says Rezio. Okay. Bring 1 squad of Bladeguard veterans and combat squad it. That'll save the spot. I didn't even know you could combat squad Bladeguard veterans. Not something I have ever tried to do. Combat squads. Okay, wow. Cool. Yeah, I think I would do that, so you've got 4 units for actions. And like I said, I actually think you said at the beginning that one of your things that you were going to do was retrieve Octaria's data, was it? Or am I making that up? Yeah, you're going to try and take data. So if you're going to retrieve Octaria's data with just the Vanguard vets, 1 squad of Bladeguard veterans, no Eliminators because you're dropping them, and the Incursors, that's going to be rough, right? So that's why I would take 2 3-man squads of Bladeguard veterans. Or I guess when you drop the Eliminators and you drop the Apothecary, and add 1 to the Bladeguard veteran squad, because that's, what's that, like 155 points, that would leave you 120 points, and then take another squad of Incursors or something. I guess you'd have a tough job spending those last 15 points beyond that, but Incursors are very, very good at scoring points from Rod or for engage on all fronts, and also for holding primaries and taking board control. I love Incursors. If I had room in my list for 3 squads, I would take 3. Anyway, I think that's the end of that list, James. Please make some changes. Give it another shot. Let me know how you get on. And let's move into list number 2 for today, which is submitted by John Collins. John just became a member this month, I guess, to get his list reviewed nice and quick, so I appreciate you becoming a member, John. Hopefully you managed to catch this in the replay, or give me a shout out if you are in chat. I already own 14 Sangre Guard, two 7s with swords. I need more. Captain Rilo, you need more with axes, I'm afraid, because axes are best in 9th edition. It feels like axes are just very, very much ahead. I'm going to make a video soon about swords versus axes, and I think as it stands right now, axes just win. Okay. My first Blood Angels list, and I have questions. I want to see how this stacks up. Thanks in advance. And I added an Infernal Pistol with 1 Sangre Guard to make it an even 2k. Okay, so he has a captain with a Xenophasic Blade. I think a Xenophasic Blade is a Death Watch only weapon. It might be confusing because it's just listed on the captain sheet. Yeah, it's listed here for 10 points. I guess it disappeared, but I'm convinced the Xenophasic Blade is Death Watch only, right? So basically like a power sword that you can't make invulnerable saves against. But yeah, it's Death Watch only. So you probably need to just. Oh, thank you so much, James. Thanks for the feedback. Has matched my gaming experience so far, albeit against knights. So a skewed set of results. Yeah, but I think it's a good. I think you're in a good spot. Like I think that list can be made a bit stronger. And if you find you lose games with OBSEC, then that's why I would recommend 2 squads of Infiltrators. So I think you would need to change this to the Relic Blade, John. But I think that's fine. I mean, I think a Relic Blade is pretty good on a jump pack shield captain who has been upgraded to Death Company captain, who has both Artisan of War and an Icon of the Angel. I wonder what he's done with Artisan of War. Hero of the chapter. The problem with the GW app is it doesn't always tell you what he's Artisan of War. Balls. Artisan of War is like he gets to choose. Yeah, he gets to choose like Adamantium Mantle, Artificed Armor, Mastercrafted Weapon, or Digital Weapons. I mean, you're a Death Company captain, so you already have a 6-up shrug. So I assume you're taking maybe a Mastercrafted Weapon for the Relic Blade. So the Relic Blade would do +3 strength, -3 AP, and 3 damage. I think that would be a good choice. Death Company captain's also already going to have a 6-up shrug, so there's almost no point putting the Adamantium Mantle on him, which we normally do, because you can also pay 1 CP to get that. You can also pay 1 CP to get your shrug improved to 5-up with the refusal to die strat. Okay, and then we have the Sangre Priest, who is the Chief Apothecary, Selfless Hero of the chapter, and this is kind of your standard Sangre Priest. We then have Death Company, and we got 2 squads of 7, and we've got a couple with Power Fists in both squads. You said earlier you had some extra points to. Well, let's go through the list. I would much prefer these if they were Thunderhammers. I think that Power Fists can be countered pretty easily. Thunderhammers cannot be countered. I need Power Axes for my Sangre Guard. Yeah, I mean, they just don't come with enough axes, do they, Ryan? That's the big problem. Okay, we then have Vanguard Veterans, and it's Lightning Claw, Storm Shield, Relic Blade, Storm Shield, and a Sergeant. 3 more with Lightning Claw, Storm Shield, and 3 more. So it's basically 8. I don't know why the Games Workshop app has split it out into so many sections, but it's 8 Vanguard Veterans, all Lightning Claws and Storm Shield, and a Relic Blade and Storm Shield. One thing you can do if you want is you can lose the Storm Shield on the Sergeant, giving him Infernal Pistol. I mean, you're only gonna kill the Sergeant if all 7 other guys have failed. At that point, potentially the Sergeant's gonna die from morale anyway. So would it be better to just have him Infernal Pistol? I think it's fine to do that. I mean, I think the Storm Shield's fine as well, I guess. But, okay, then we have another captain, and I guess, again, you're going to have to give him a Relic Blade, because the Xenophoenix Blade isn't an option. He has Speed of the Primarch, an Imperium Sword, and Angel's Exemplar, right? So you're trying to make... This is your Warlord. Speed of the Primarch isn't that useful, in my opinion. If this is your Warlord, I would give him Gift of Foresight and Armor Indomitus. I think it's the two best choices. Keeps him alive, and staying alive is very important. And it also lets him reroll 1 hit and 1 wound, which kind of makes up for Imperium Sword, because Imperium Sword is just going to give you +1 attack, right? I guess it really lets you reroll charges as well. I mean, I guess you could keep Imperium Sword if you really wanted, but I think Armor Indomitus is a better choice. Oh yeah, you haven't given him a relic. Alright, so you kind of gave your relic up here, did you? Then I would have spent. If you really want Icon the Angel and the Death Company captain, who's going to drop down from Deep Strike, then I would pay the 1 CP and give your other captain Armor Indomitus to make sure he stays alive. Keep Imperium Sword if you must, but I think Gift of Foresight is a lot stronger than Speed of the Primarch. Speed of the Primarch is only going to let you fight. It's only going to let you fight first if the enemy charges that one specific character. And I mean, a captain with a Relic Blade isn't going to do a whole shitload of damage. Like, he's maybe going to kill like 2 or 3 models. So I think Gift of Foresight, keeping him alive, is the better option here. We then have 2 Librarian Dreadnoughts. And they actually share the powers here, which I guess is going to be... It's kind of the wrong choice, I guess. And also, the one that you've upgraded to Chief Librarian gets a 3rd power. And maybe the app doesn't write it down, but it should have an extra power here. I'd probably only upgrade to Chief Librarian if you're going to take Psychic Mastery, which is the Warlord trait that gives you +1 to all your casts. And I did a video on this a few weeks back, actually, about like how much better your cast rate is with Psychic Mastery, and it's kind of surprising. Maybe I can pull it up. Let me see if I've got it. God knows what I called it. Do you know what? I might have called it Mephiston? Lord of Death versus Firstborn Librarian. Here we go. Alright. Apparently I made this 14 days ago. So yeah, you should have been able to see this. So your cast chance with Psychic Mastery goes up 11%. With a reroll, it goes up another 3.1. On a warp charge of 6. I guess that's all that's relevant. Yeah, so if you're gonna go Psychic Mastery, if you're gonna go Chief Librarian, you probably want to go Psychic Mastery. I mean, it's the whole point of psychic powers being more reliable. And that would be probably the Dreadnought that I would take Wings, Quickening, and I'd probably take Shield on him so he can shield himself. So he can jump forward, he can cast reliably, etc. And on the other one, bear in mind if you cast Quickening on this Dreadnought, then you can't cast it on the other one. I'd probably take Unleash Rage. I think Unleash Rage is one of our best powers. You have a big squad of Vanguard veterans here. They would benefit heavily from Unleash Rage. So would both squads of the Death Company probably benefit pretty great from Unleash Rage. And yeah, you could take Wings as well. I mean, so both Dreadnoughts have the ability to be mobile. But just remember, if you cast it on one, you can't cast it on another. You have 3 squads of Infiltrators, all with a Helix Gauntlet. It's interesting. So you can just dump all 3 of them on 3 different primary objectives, and you can just sit there all game and hope that they survive because the Helix Gauntlet makes them more survivable. I mean, that's a valid tactic, I suppose. I do think Incursors are slightly better than Infiltrators for Blood Angels, because if we do end up in combat, You can also give the Vanguard Veteran Sergeant a bolt pistol with quake bolts to give his squad a chance to get +1 to hit. That's a very good point DTM. That's probably actually more valuable than Infernal Pistol, actually, to be honest. It does cost you some more CP, but getting +1 to hit on all the Vanguard Veterans is going to be very good. And I guess if you got Unleash Rage to one of your casters, that probably helps you as well. The one thing to say as well about this list is you do have 5 characters again. And if you have 5 characters, if you play against me, I'm going to take Assassinate, and I'm probably always going to get 10 points against you doing that. Quite often when people have 5 characters or more, because some people take more, when you pick Assassinate, you end up with like 12 plus points. Sometimes you max it at 15, and it's... I don't like to build lists that make picking secondaries easy. Because if the opponent is struggling with their secondaries, you can win the game just because they're struggling with their secondaries. So that's why I would recommend not having 5 characters. 3 squads of infiltrators give you a lot of denial. The Helix Gauntlet gives them more survivability. If this was me, though, I'd run 1 infiltrators and 2 incursors. I think the incursors just give you more flexibility throughout the game. And then you've got the squad of Sanguinary Guard in there as well, 7 man, so that's fine. 2 Death Company, a Vanguard Veterans, a Sanguinary Guard. All 3 together are good. This list just doesn't... it doesn't have any heavy firepower to back things up, right? So it's all about close combat. You've got the 2 captains, you've got the 2 squads of Death Company, you've got the Priest, you've got the Veterans, you've got the 2 Dreadnoughts. They're also about close combat. You got the Infiltrators to hold, and then the Sanguinary Guard. So this is sort of the list that I was playing at the start of 9th edition, and this is the sort of list where I struggled to get a 50% win rate. This list is going to require that there's a lot of terrain on the board. When we talk about terrain, 12 pieces of obscuring terrain or something like that. If it's less than that, we're probably going to struggle a bit with this list. So I wonder if I have a picture of a board that I played on recently. Yeah, probably. Let me see. Yeah, so this board, for example, has 6 pieces of obscuring terrain. I mean, these are big pieces, actually. So sometimes when you say 12 pieces, I would expect this giant piece to almost be 2 pieces. So this is like a 10. I would say this is the equivalent of a 10-piece board. And it's also got a couple of forests. So if you play on a map with less terrain than this list will have difficulties, because especially this was a game against Tau and these guys are camped out at the back of the board. They're just going to shoot you off the table. I think Blood Angels are best right now with a reasonable amount of fire support. I would reckon anywhere between 300 and 600 points. My current list probably actually goes a little bit further than 600 points, because I run 2 Contemptors, which is 300 points, a Redemptor, which is 185, and then a Whirlwind, which is 125. So I think I run 610 points of shooting. I actually run a Tech Marine as well. And the Tech Marine's 100 points, so technically I'm kind of running 700 points of shooting. And I think the whole idea behind the shooting is just to thin down the enemy, so that when my melee units do get to them later in the game, I can do really, really well against them. But some people can make this list work. We've seen it work. We've seen it placed really highly in some of the American Open tournaments. So in terms of raw feedback on this list, if you're 100% convinced you want to continue to go for a melee based list, you do want incursors. They do a lot more damage than infiltrators in melee based. They're a bit more offensive, and you're gonna want to basically overload the enemy with threats here, because the way you're gonna win the game is getting on top of them in melee. I'd probably lose. So if you do that, 2 squads of incursors there, that gives you 50 points back. Lose one of these Librarian Dreadnoughts just because 4 or 5 characters is too many. So lose one of the Librarian Dreadnoughts. You got overlap here with psychic powers anyway. It's a bit of a mess. That would give you 150 plus the 50. I would use that to take another squad of Sanguinary Guard. Maybe a 6-man. I think 6 times 32. 192. Okay, so you could take 6 Sanguinary Guard, throw another Infernal Pistol in there. You said you could throw 1 in each, so I'd do that. And I kind of really want to get rid of some of these power fists and make them thunderhammers, because there's a lot of -1 damage stuff in the meta, so the power fists don't do you any help, but thunderhammers will. So if you dropped all 4 power fists, I think power fists are 10 points on the Death Company. I'm going to have to check that. Surely they're not only 5, are they? Are they 5? It's been a while. Power fists. No, they're 10. Okay, so I would drop 3 of your power fists. So drop 2 out of this squad and 1 out of this squad, and put 2 hammers into that first squad. And I guess the second squad just has 1 power fist in it. Or drop all 4 power fists, put 2 hammers into one squad and 2 infernal pistols into the other squad. Unless there's another way you can find 30 points to go 2 hammers, 2 hammers. Yeah, I mean, you guess you could lose 1 Vanguard Veteran. So you could have a 7 Sanguinary. You know what? If you're adding that 6-man Sanguinary Guard, you could probably do that. So you have a 6-man Sanguinary Guard, a 7-man Sanguinary Guard, Infernal Pistol in both. You lose 1 Vanguard Veteran, so you've got 7 Vanguard Veterans, all Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. Relic Blade on the Sergeant. You could potentially lose a Storm Shield on the Sergeant to take a Bolt Pistol, so you can get Quake Bolts in there, giving you the ability for them to hit on 2s. You drop all the Power Fists, replace them with Thunderhammers, and then you drop this Librarian Dreadnought, 2 squads of Infiltrators, bringing in Cursors. That's my opinion. I'll score your list as is, but if it was me, that's what I would do. You'd be expected at how effective Sanguinary Guard shooting is, especially against nasty Toughness 3 stuff like Witches or a Penshot. Yeah, I mean, Sanguinary Guard get an overloaded amount of shots, don't they? I mean, that's one of the ways that Jack's making his list work, I think, with his 21 Sanguinary Guard is 42 Strength 4, -1, 1 damage shots, or -2 if it's turn 2. Okay. So OBSEC, at the moment, your OBSEC is insane. 3 Infiltrator squads, plus all the Helix Gauntlets. I'm going to give you 9.5 for that. Anti-Horde. In terms of firepower for Anti-Horde, you have nothing, really. Bar maybe at the moment 14 bolter shots. The Death Company and the Vanguard Veterans and the Sanguinary Guard will melt Hordes, but I like to have some firepower for Hordes, so I'm going to say like a 7.5. 3 damage weapons in this list at the moment feels low. Both Librarians have 1. And potentially our Captain has 1. So this is why you need to get some Thunderhammers in there. Oh, and you added 1 Infernal Pistol, and probably a couple more Infernal Pistols potentially works as well. And or the Quake Bolts. So I think that Anti-Vehicle Monster is like an 8.5, maybe? Mobility is very good. I mean, you've got the ability to guerrilla tactics, the units that you want. Everything else has basically got a jump pack. So I think your mobility is like 9.5. And then specialization. So you don't have any way to make the enemy fight last. You do have a Chief Librarian in there, so you've got 2 denies, potentially 3. You do have plenty of units for actions. You do really have not enough 3 damage weapons. Your CP was... Is this 8? Don't really get the Games Workshop. It says 7 up here, but then... Alright, so 7 left. So CP is okay. Protection against mortal wounds, you have nothing. I'd say you could probably get Soul Warden in here, maybe. Oh, well, I guess your Sanguinary Priest gives you a little bit of protection against mortals on the 6s. So, no fight last, some denies, plenty of units for actions. So it's like 3 damage weapons and maybe a little bit of protection. I'd say... it's like a 7. Do you know what? This list kind of just scores pretty high because of the OBSEC in it. I don't necessarily feel, as it stands, this is a 42-point list. I mean, that's the way that my scoring works. But I think I identified a bunch of weaknesses that you can improve here, John. So you can let me know in the comments what you think. But I think I think your score is a little higher than it should be. And I guess it's just, it scores well in the individual categories, but like it doesn't feel like it meshed. Like, if you want to go all in on melee, you want to go all in on melee, and you're not quite doing this, I think. And my experience tells me that if you try and go like half in on melee, without the fire support, you will lose. So that's basically the feedback that I'm giving you. I hope it's useful. Let me know in the comments or something, or if you pop into chat a little bit later. I saw Sam Milber in chat, so why don't we do Sam's list first, because he's here in chat. If you combat squad Terminators, do both squads get homers? No, you would just get one teleport homer, and I guess it would just go with this one squad, like the first 5 it would go with. Don't think they've ever specifically said anything else, James, but I assume that's how it would work. Okay, so Sam missed his last list review, and it has drastically changed since submitting it. I will be playing in the New Orleans GW Open soon with my new list, which has won 3 games in a row by a large margin each time. Alright, cool. I like to see lists that are winning lists, because someone said to me in the comments this week that they're on an 11-game win streak since I'd reviewed their list. So I was like, I don't know if you watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but always reminds me of that Captain Holt scene where he's like, vindication! Alright. 9 CP Battalion Detachment. And we are 1 extra relic. We are starting with Commander Dante, and he is not the Warlord here. And I think that's the right way to play it. Like, I think Dante's fine to include, but I do not think he is strong enough to be your Warlord. So this is the right way to do this. We then have our Chaplain on a bike who has Mantra of Strength and Canticle of Hate. He also runs Benediction of Fury. He is running Imperium Sword as well. Surprisingly, no Wise Orator here, though. I always think Wise Orator is very important on a Chaplain, making both litanies go off on 2s. But, I mean, Imperium Sword +1 attack, reroll charges, he has Benediction of Fury and Mantra of Strength, so potentially can be pretty nasty. The issue with small OBSEC units right now is that Armiger counts as 5. A 5-man OBSEC unit is struggling, as well as it counts for 2 for other units. Yeah, I mean, James, you just need like literally 1 more model on that objective though, right? And then you would swing it from the Armiger. And that other model doesn't need to be OBSEC. That other model can just be any other model, right? So you just touch it with one of your dreadnoughts and you're good to go. You would still control that, I guess. Okay, we also have the Sanguinary Priest, who has the Soul Warden. He's the Chief Apothecary, Icon of the Angel, Selfless Healer, etc., etc. I'm not sure how I feel about Soul Warden on the Sanguinary Priest. I feel like you potentially get more value on another character, because you can have the 6-up shrugs at one place on the battlefield and the 5-up shrugs against mortals somewhere else, but if you're only running 3 characters in a battalion, then I guess it's fine to take Soul Warden on the Sanguinary Priest. Okay, we have Assault Intercessors, Incursors, and an Infiltrator Squad, and the Infiltrator Squad is Helix Gauntlet. I mean, when you see something like this, I think it's well thought out, because you're like, alright, Assault Intercessors are going to push forward and or be reserved. I've been reserving mine. They're a nice little cheap unit to put into reserve. Incursors are probably going to forward deploy, hold an objective, threaten an early charge. Infiltrators with the Helix Gauntlet are going to sit on the backfield objective, be very hard to move, can't be deep struck against. Well, I mean, they can be deep struck against, but no one can charge them in the turn they arrive, so it's kind of a safe option. So, I run 2 Incursors and 1 Assault Intercessors, but I think this is absolutely fine. This is probably quite a good mix of troops. 5 Blade Guard Veterans. Solid staple of my list. They're very solid. 5 is the optimal number for getting those 1 CP transhumans to keep them alive. 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Frag Storms, Rocket Pods, Macros, and Onslaughts. And I just want to say, and it's minor, it's super minor, I think the Stormbolters are better than the Frag Storms, because there's 2 reasons, right? Stormbolters are 24, Frag Storms are 18. So Stormbolters will sometimes get to shoot when the Frag Storms aren't in range. Stormbolters get 4 shots at 24 and then 8 shots at 12. So 8 shots at 12. If you're rolling 2d6 for frag storms, then your average is 7. So I think like the storm bolters, you're going to get you're going to get like an extra round of shooting at long range. Then when you get to half range, you're probably going to average more than the frag storms anyway, unless you're fighting like a horde that has like 20-man models. But in practice, that barely ever happens, right? And then if you do end up in close combat, you can shoot the storm bolters all 8 shots. Obviously, the frag storms are blasts, so you can't shoot them. I mean, it's just a strength 4 weapon with no AP, so it's minor. I mean, I guess it's fine to have frag storms, but I think if you have the option, just pick the storm bolters. I think it's the better option. You beat. So it was your list, James, that's on a 12-game winning streak now. Nice. That's really solid. I'm glad to hear that. I need to actually update my winning streak because I've been doing pretty well recently. Apart from that one game at the top final table, I don't think I've lost a game. I can't remember. I think the last game I lost was maybe the week of the new Arc Codex release. We lost one game against the new Arcs, and then since then I've just been winning again. Okay, we then have Sanguinary Guard, and it's an 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, and it's swords and axes mixed, which is good, and a couple of Infernal Pistols, that's fine. Vanguard Veterans is a 5, Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. I mean, it's solid again. I mean, you were here in the last list, so you heard what we said about potentially swapping out that Storm Shield for something, an Infernal Pistol, another pistol to give you Quake Bolts. It's an option, you don't need to, but sometimes it can be a nice option. 2 attack bikes for 120 points. And I guess the reason that you've got them on a squad of 2 is because you're potentially thinking about resurrecting them with Sanguinary Priest. In practice, what I find with attack bikes is even squads of 3 die very, very quickly. I played against Dark Angels like 2 weeks ago, it was now. Maybe more than 2 weeks. Probably like 2 months, actually. Anyway, he had a squad of 3 attack bikes. He had 2 squads of them. And I just shot one of them with the Contemptor in turn 1 and deleted the entire squad, right? I think I ended up doing, let's say, like 4 mortal wounds and like 10 saves, and he failed enough saves that he lost all 3 attack bikes in a single turn. So I think you've got the Sanguinary Priest here, who is good around attack bikes, obviously, because he gives you the chance to shrug the wounds on 6s and then resurrect a bike. But if it was me playing that list, as I know now, and as I know that like lots of people now have wisened up to that, if you only have 2 attack bikes, it's just 2 models, 4 wounds, toughness 5. That's not that difficult to shift. If I was playing against you, I would 100% be able to kill probably both attack bikes in a single turn, and then you get no value out of them being in a squad. So I would separate them. If you separate them, the interesting thing is they're only 2 power level each, right? So if we talked earlier about reserves, in this list I would pay 1 CP, because you've got a lot of CP, 9, so start on 8. I would put both attack bikes into reserves as single units, and I would also put the assault intercessors into reserve as a single unit. And what that means is you've got some options, right? You can bring in the attack bikes, you can bring them in together, you can bring them in far apart, and you can just try and snipe things with the multi-maltas, like vehicles or characters if they're badly positioned, etc. And also, if you bring in the assault intercessors, you get 2 choices. You either bring them in and you do rod in a board quarter, or you bring them in 9 inches from an objective and try and make a 9-inch charge and obsec an objective away from the enemy for a single turn, potentially winning you the game because you get that objective point swing. So that's what I would do if it was me. I used to run 3 attack bikes, and it just got to a point where, like, there's too many things. I think if your enemy isn't experienced playing against Blood Angels, my problem is I play Blood Angels against my friends every week, week in, week out, and they know how much threat the multi-maltas and the speed of the attack bikes. So in turn 1, if they can see them, or even if they can't see them, they'll indirect fire them or something, and they'll try and take them out. And if you lose the whole squad, it's so much to, like, they're so important to what we do. So in the last tournament that I ran, I actually ran both attack bikes as single units and company veterans in reserve every game. And yeah, it is just one multi-meta, and it is just hit 2 shots hitting on 3s, but sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's the way of multi-metas, I guess. I do think there's value in attack bikes. I just don't think there's value in big squads of attack bikes anymore, because people have wisened up on how to deal with them. Okay, and then lastly, you've got the Whirlwind to cancel the Overwatch, etc., etc. Okay, cool. So this is actually... This is actually a pretty good list, I think. It's got a nice balance. So you've got the... and we talked a minute ago about having 600 points of shooting. So this is like 370, plus the attack bikes is 490, plus the Whirlwind 615 or something. So probably right on the edge of like a good amount of shooting, but I definitely think you reserve the attack bikes, because otherwise I think they just die. I think it's stronger just bringing them in and trying to like take some pop shots with multi-metas at exposed characters or exposed armor, etc. Troop choices are fine. Blade Guard Veterans and Redemptors are fine. Vanguard Veterans and Sanguinary Guard are good. Steel Rain's going to say this list needs more Sanguinary Guard. I don't know where you can fit them in. The only option would be to drop the Blade Guard Veterans. If the Blade Guard Veterans are going centerboard with the Sanguinary Priest, I want to say before I moved to the Tech Marine, I've been playing the Tech Marine for a while now. I've probably been playing the Tech Marine since the end of August, something like that. And it was Andrew that finally convinced me to go to the Tech Marine. Before I was playing the Tech Marine, I was doing this exact strategy, where I had the Blade Guard Veterans and the Sanguinary Priest going middle with the Redemptors. And I think it's fine, but do I think a Tech Marine going middle with 2 Redemptors over a Priest going middle with the Blade Guard is stronger? I mean, I am doing the Tech Marine, so I think it's slightly stronger myself. But the Priest is kind of expensive as well. And I know some people still love the Sanguinary Priest, but yeah, it's a tough one. Overall, I think it's a decent list. I hate how they put him up to 155 points, but I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. What else did you say? I've been using Secondary's Oath of Moment, retrieve data, and engage on all fronts. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would use, and that's one of the reasons that I would recommend putting your Assault Intercessors into Strategic Reserve. If you don't put your Assault Intercessors into Strategic Reserve, they're just going to die trying to get across the board anyway. So put them in just... It was Steel Rain that told me to put them in Strategic Reserve. If you had some extra points here, I don't think you do, unfortunately, but if you ever have some points, I would actually put like a weapon on the Assault Intercessor Sergeant. I'd be happy to give him a Power Fist or a Power Sword. I actually think that wouldn't be a horrible choice, as long as you're committed to putting them into Strategic Reserve. I suppose if you didn't want to... If you didn't have any points left over, but you just wanted to do something, you could Mastercraft his Chainsword for a CP, so you've got a 2 damage Chainsword and an Assault Intercessor Sergeant. But no, I would put the Assault Intercessor Sergeant in, I would split up your attack bikes, and I'd put them in. And that way, in turn 2, your attack bikes can come in and react to threats, your Assault Intercessors can come in and contest an enemy primary objective with a 9-inch charge, or they can do data if you're not confident, and Redemptor to move midfield turn 1 to get Oath. Infiltrators are deployed forward to get Rod points, with 1 unit set up to move to its own backfield. Sanguinary Guard units deploy in their own backfield and slowly walk in turn 1 and 2, scoring Rod in turn 2 if necessary. Vanguard Vets move forward and put in reserve upon Wings of Fire to drop in enemy deployment zone later to score Rod. Bikes shoot big threats in first 2 turns if still alive. Yeah, I mean, you've said the bikes if still alive. Yeah, just make sure they are still alive by putting them as 2 separate squads into Strategic Reserve. If you are going to do engage on all fronts, which you've mentioned here, then having the bikes as separate units reserved is going to make engage on all fronts easier as well. Using Dante's rerolls as much as possible. Chaplain helps everyone with charges, or is sent to take on a big unit early with Blood Chalice and Mantra. Sangre Guard stay with Priest and Dante to move forward in turn 3 and mop up. Yeah, I mean it's similar strategy to what I would run. Slightly different models, but it's a good mix, right? You've got a good mix between melee threats in the Blade Guard, the Sangre Guard, the Vanguard Veterans. I mean, these are essentially the melee units that I was using, and then decent amount of troops, very decent characters, and the one thing that I might say in this list is I think I would also prefer Armor Indomitus over Benediction of Fury, because I'd probably prefer Imperium Sword. Sorry, I'd probably prefer Gift of Foresight over Imperium Sword, and there's two. I mean, the main reason here is, like, with Mantra of Strength, this guy can already have a 3 damage weapon, right? And it's a Strength 6 3 damage weapon. With Gift of Foresight, you reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 save, and with Armor Indomitus, you make it that you have that 3-up invulnerable save for a single turn. I think both those things are going to make him survive so much more. They're going to add so much to survivability, whereas Benediction of Fury in practice is going to give you like 1 mortal wound output per turn. It's not going to be much more than 1 mortal wound, right? Because you only get mortal wounds on 6s. Chaplain on a bike gets 4 attacks. Let me check this. I feel like Chaplain on a bike. Yeah, he gets 4 attacks, so 5 in the charge, 6 if it's turn 3, 7 from Imperium Sword. 7 from Imperium Sword? So you get 7 attacks. You hit on 2s, right? So, like, out of 7 attacks, you're going to miss once, so you end up making 6. I guess you can Gift of Foresight it, so potentially you can hit with all 7. You wound on 2s or 3s, I suppose. Maybe you wound on 4s against, like, Toughness 8 stuff, and maybe you can Gift of Foresight one of them as well. But realistically, you're probably only going to end up... Maybe you get 6 wound rolls. So you're only going to roll 1 6, right? So you're going to do 1 mortal wound from Benediction of Fury. Yes, I suppose the weapon is also going to give you +1 damage. But I think just being alive for, like, possibly an extra turn, possibly an extra 2 turns, possibly to the end of the game, is going to be way more valuable. And Angel Sacrifice here is going to be huge as well, because, like, if your character survives with 1 wound, right? Let's like think about it like this. It's Mortarion, for example. Worst case scenario, you and your Sangre Guard, your Chaplain, your whole Sangre Guard charge Mortarion, and you take him down to like 1 wound or something, or you know, maybe you've already shot him a couple of times, the Redemptors. So he's going to attack back. And it's Mortarion, so you can have like 10 attacks. Or if it's some sort of knight, you can have 10 attacks. We already talked about how Sangre Guard are literally in glass armor. So if he attacks the Sangre Guard, you are going to lose the entire squad. Or if you don't lose the entire squad, you're going to lose like 6 out of 8 of them. You're going to lose 200 points to Sangre Guard. If you're able to pay 1 CP to Angel Sacrifice, take all the hits on your Chaplain, turn on your 3-up invulnerable save, use your 1 free reroll from Gift of Foresight as well, potentially pay another CP if you really need to do another 3-up invulnerable save. I've seen my commander take like 10 hits that would normally... It was Morgan Val, I think, when I did it, like So Morgan Val gets 5 attacks. She's using this +3 strength, -3, 3 damage weapon. 6s do mortal wounds, right? So she did like, I don't know. And she gets to reroll all hits and wounds in combat. So it's like 5 attacks. She's hitting on 2s, she's rerolling, so she hits 5 times. She's wounding on 3s, she's rerolling, so she wounds about 5 times. So normally you would have to take 5 saves at -3, 3 damage a pop, right? So you activate your Armor Indomitus, and you survived, and Sangre Guard didn't take any damage from her because obviously you Angel Sacrificed. Morgan Val actually has a rule. I think it's It's something like once per battle, at the end of the fight phase, this model with an engagement range of the enemy unit, it can fight again. So Andrew was like, Morgan Val's going to fight again. And I was like, well, she still has to attack everything into my Chapter Master because he is Angel Sacrificed, and that's for the phase, right? So he attacked again, same deal, 5 attacks, rerolling everything, hit wounding on 2s, blah, 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 blah. And then he even got like a mortal wound through as well. And I saved every single save on the 3-ups, and then I actually shrugged the mortal wounds as well, right? So it was like, it could have been a turn where Morgan Val with 10 attacks against the Sangori Guard, it would be hitting on 3s, rerolling everything, wounding on 2s, rerolling everything. So you'd be probably looking at like, I'd need to make 9 -3 saves on the Sangori Guard. How many Sangori Guard are going to survive that? And each one is a 3. So like I said, you'd lose 6 or 7 Sangori Guard. If you swap these out, yes, he deals a little bit less damage, but there's times where... And I think this goes back to the earlier lists where I was talking about, I think 5 characters is the wrong call now. Characters don't do damage in battles. They do a little bit of damage, sure, but the most of the damage that you're going to get as a Blood Angels player is literally out your Sangori Guard squads, right? So if you're going to get more damage out your Sangori Guard than your character can ever do, then does it not make sense to sacrifice the character to keep the Sangori Guard alive? Of course it does. If you can sacrifice once, and I'd say with Armor Indomitus and Gift of Foresight, you're almost able to sacrifice once and shrug most of the damage. Right? You will not die. If you have Armor Indomitus and Gift of Foresight, and you maybe have a command point available for another reroll, you can almost just Angel Sacrifice and just know, I will still survive that first turn. I can sacrifice against any giant monster. Against the Grey Knights, I played at the top table. Yes, I lost against the Grey Knights, but Angel sacrificed against Nemesis Grandmaster Dread Knight that has a flat 6 damage sword, and I survived, right? So you're almost able to just, with Armor Indomitus, you're able to just one time just sacrifice yourself, but survive. And that does mean, let's say it is a giant Mortarion and you don't kill her. So then it goes on to the enemy's turn, and now you're gonna get to pick a single unit to fight first, right? So you'd obviously fight first with the Sangori Guard. Maybe they still can't kill Mortarion. They take him down super low and he's gonna attack back. Now you can sacrifice and sort of go like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna die. Any giant monster except the Nightbringer. Yeah, okay, I guess if the enemy has a way to ignore invulnerable saves, you're fucked, DTM. And at that point, I would put a cheaper character in to sacrifice against. But for most situations, I think this is a better choice. So that's my 2 cents on that. And sorry if the explanation was super long, but I've had a lot of experience using that, and I've come out with it like pretty well, I'd say. Alright, so let's talk about scoring. We have 3 troop choices, so and 2 of them are Phobos. I'm going to give you an 8.5. You got the Helix Gauntlet in there, which is nice as well. So maybe it can be a 9. I kind of gave the last list a little bit more because he had 3 Helix Gauntlets, so I give you half a point for... do you know what? We'll give you 3/4 of a point for Helix. A quarter of a point for Helix Gauntlet. Okay. Anti-Horde Infantry. So we get 2 Dreadnoughts. Maybe you already said that you realize Stormbolters are better. We have the Whirlwind. We have a bunch of Sangori Guard. I think your anti-Horde is pretty good. I'd say it's like an 8.5. 3 damage weapons, and we've got 2 multi-metals here, so that's 2. We have 2 Infernal Pistols, that's 4. We have a bunch of Dreadnought weapons, that's 8. We have the Crozius, that's 9. We have Dante, that's 10. So we're coming in okay on 3 damage or more weapons. Dante can also sacrifice, yeah, and then he can still fight on death because of his epic deed of the Imperium. So anti-monster vehicles, we've got the big Sangori Guard, we've got the Vanguard Veterans, we've got the Redemptors, we've got the multi-metals. I mean, this is very, very similar to the tournament list I ran recently. I think it's right up there. I think anti-monster, I don't think you've got a problem. Mobility-wise, again, I don't think you've got a problem. I would reserve what I said that you should reserve. And then overall, I think your mobility is like a 9. And specialization. So we don't have any denies. We do have a fight last. you had Soul Warden, but you said you were dropping it, so I guess the protection against mortal wounds is iffy, the 3 damage weapons is good, the CP is good, so denies protection against mortal wounds, and units for action is fine. So maybe like a 8-5. I think this is going to be one of the highest scoring lists for today. Could we improve? What would we do to improve this list? Yeah, I mean, just the small changes that I said there. This is very, very similar to the list that I ran 4-1 at Clan Wars, actually. I think the only difference maybe was like I had a bike captain and a librarian and a tech marine. And then I maybe had like some company veterans and not so many troop choices. But the 2 Redemptors, the Blade Guard, the Sanguinary Guard, the Vanguard veterans, I think it is a good solid list. Especially paired with the fight last as well. Strangely, Angel Sacrifices almost garbage into town. They have 0 melee threat that makes it matter. In the tournament that I came up against, I got crushed by a Tau battle suit with like a flat 6 damage weapon. He actually killed my chapter master in a single turn. It seriously scared me. I was like, oh shit. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Sam. I'm not sure if you've been a member before, but I really appreciate that. Hopefully I gave you some good advice. I think Tau's melee is... I mean, I guess that's why the Whirlwind can be good against Tau. Against Tau, though, you kind of need to be looking for obscuring positions to charge from. And that's... Who knows? I mean, we already saw that the Tau Fire Warriors guns are getting, like, significantly better. So who knows what else is going to change for Tau in the new year, because their new codex is coming out. You're super welcome, Sam. Thank you for submitting the list. Yeah, let me know how you get on. I think the only other thing that I would say on this list is, so I evolved from this. So I was running the Sanguinary Priest. I changed this to a Primaris Tech Marine. And yes, I suppose when you have the Tech Marine, you don't heal any of your troops anymore. But it was nice because it basically meant like one Dreadnought hit on 2s rerolling 1s, and the other Dreadnought can get the Chapter Master auras. So it made the hit rolls from both Dreadnoughts super reliable. And the Tech Marine is just 100 points compared to the Sanguinary Priest 155. He can also run Soul Warden, so you can still keep your bubble of invulnerable saves. And those extra 55 points, I mean, that is like 2 company champions with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws is 54 points. You can, I was going to say, because you've got room here in your elites for 1 more, you can include those 2 company champions. Sorry, company veterans. Did I say champions? I meant veterans. Sorry, 2 company veterans with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws is 54 points. Just gives you 1 more unit. Like, I was reserving them with attack bikes. It just gives you 1 more unit to score your engage on all fronts, score your retrieve Octavia's data, be a pain. And I guess if you come up against an army of snipers, then they have the bodyguard rule as well. That never happens, though. I never come up against an army where I'm like, damn, I wish I had bodyguards. It very rarely happens. Or Highland Phoenix is saying, yeah, 55 points is a Landspeeder Storm. Highland Phoenix has been going on about this Landspeeder Storm. Let's have a look at it. He popped on last night just to tell us, like, have you considered Landspeeder Storms? What would a Landspeeder Storm bring to your list? It would give you a crap Cerberus launcher and a heavy bolter. But, I mean, it can score you engage points. It does have 7 wounds. And it does have toughness 6. Only a 4-up save, though. It can... So, Shock and Awe is the stratagem to use. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase where a Landspeeder Storm from your army is selected to select 1 enemy unit within 6 until the start of the next turn. That unit cannot fire Overwatch. Each time the model makes an attack, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. I mean, that's nice. If the enemy had something really nasty, that's like getting a lot of shots or something, making the -1 to hit. Yeah, it was like a fusion relic, Reziel, and I think I just failed both saves, so it was like 12 damage that I had to take on my Chapter Master. I really wasn't prepared for it. People have used the Landspeeder Storms before. Yeah, I mean, engaged in Stranglehold and stuff. Yeah, I don't own a Landspeeder Storm. Maybe it's something that I need to get onto the list. It's the one that carries the scouts. I mean, it's cool and it's cheap, I think. Apparently, I can't find a good picture of it. Okay. Alright. But yeah, I mean, this is a good list, Sam. This is probably going to be today's highest scoring list. And it is very similar to what I was playing at tournaments, maybe beginning of September. My lists change from time to time, I guess. And it could, if there's a way you could you get more Sangori Guard in it if you had 54 and more points? Could you? Not really, I guess. Hopefully, maybe in the future, Sangori Guard come down a few points, and then maybe we could fit a few more Sangori Guard. I tried Steel Rain, tried to get some more Sangori Guard in. Alright, but thank you very much for becoming a member, Sam. Please, if you go into Discord and go into settings and link your YouTube account to Discord, you get access to our members only room now. And there's a shitload of us in there now, so all the green names are in there. So please do that. And that's the best way to get in touch with me if you ever have any other questions. Okay, I'm going to move on to Peter's list next, and okay, so Peter gave me a new list. Here it is. I'm shitting myself. I'm like, do I not have the right list? No, I've not played 40k since 2nd edition, so basically new to the modern game. Wow. Well, welcome back to the modern game. It is a bit different. Back in 2nd edition, I used to play a lot of 2nd edition that was basically shitloads of tactical squads and like predators. I feel like that was my list in 2nd edition: predators and tactical squads, and maybe like a death company. I was looking to get back into the scene with a start 1,000-point list that I could build, paint, and play. Please help me without any pointers. It would be much appreciated. Your videos are great. The tier lists have been particularly useful and enjoyable to see all the new models and units. And some of the old, I guess he means like original gangster, the OG I remember. I originally have some issues with my first list. I think I've now fixed some of them in an updated submission by swapping out infiltrators for assault intercessors. This gave me enough points for a relic blade on my captain and multi-metals on my Tabites. General plan is for Blade Guard to push down the middle with the Sangori Priest. The captain will jump down the flank with Vanguard veterans, while the Whirlwind sits on objectives at the back. Assault intercessors are there to grab an objective on the other flank, supported by the Tabites if needed. Interceptors and maybe also Tabites could start off the table. Do you think it's worth spending CP on the Sangori Priest? Any changes or help you could offer on the list would be greatly appreciated. Could you do a creating an army list 101 style video? I think it would be useful, and we're just getting back into the game. We have actually already filmed that video. It's not live on this channel, but it will be live soon over on the Grots podcast channel. So when it does come out, I'm sure I'll link it over my community tab, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, 3 of us discussed how we would start Blood Angels as it currently is. I did do also a video on like starting your first 1,000-point list, but it's maybe a little bit dated now. Okay, anyway, let's get into this. So this is a 1,000-point list, and it's an incursion, obviously, because it's a smaller battle size, but it's a patrol detachment. So we have a captain who has the Artisan of War, Iron Resolve, Jump Pack, Mastercrafted Weapon, Relic Blade, Storm Shield, and Armor Indomitus. I think you've about nailed it with this captain. This is pretty much one of the best ways to run the captain. Iron Resolve gives them that extra wound in the 6-up shrug. Artisan of War to Mastercraft the Relic Blade, and the Storm Shield to give them a 2-up save, or a 1-up save, I suppose, with Armor Indomitus, and the ability to turn on the 3-up Invan. So yeah, this captain is very good. The one thing to say, I guess, is 3 Grots and a Vox says episode 1 is building army lists. Okay. But episode 4 is going to be about 1,000 points getting started lists. But yeah, if you search on YouTube 3 Grots in a Vox, I was going to say like 3 grots in a box. Self-promotion at its best, right? It's definitely not this video here. It is... How do you search channels? Channels. That was not easy to find. We need more people to like this channel. Okay. 3 grots in a box. Check it out. Episode 1 was army lists. Army listing like a pro. Okay, cool. Alright, Peter, you kind of nailed this character. I'm happy with him. The thing I wanted to say is, yes, Armor Indomitus. You do not need to activate the Armor Indomitus till you know how many saves you need to make, which is important. So wait until all the damage comes in and then decide if you're going to activate it. And you also have the Sanguinary Priest here, who is just a basic Sanguinary Priest with a chainsword, which is fine. Assault Intercessor squad for 95 points. Blade Guards as a 5-man for 175 points. I assume they're pushing the middle with Sanguinary Priest. I think that's what you said. The Vanguard Veterans, and it's mainly Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. You've got a Sergeant with a Bolt Pistol and a Power Sword. I think I'm fine with all that. I think attack bike wise, I'd probably separate these. There's no reason for them to be in a squad unless you plan on reviving them. They're probably not going to be near your Sanguinary Priest, so they can be revived. And they are also like pretty juicy targets for your enemy. So I would consider paying 1 CP to put these into reserve. So you can bring them in from the edge of the table and just shoot at the targets. And the nice thing about bringing them in is they need to be brought in 9 inches away from the enemy, right? And from strategic reserve, but if you bring them in 9 inches away, then you're within half range of the 24-inch multi-malus, so you get that +2 to bonus to all the damage. Why not a Lightning Claw over the Power Sword on the Sergeant? Yeah, I mean, there's no reason really to have a Power Sword here. Unless, of course, you were going to swap it out for some sort of like relic, or... No, you can't do that anyway. Angel's Ascendant only lets you upgrade, so I think this should just be a Lightning Claw as well. I think that would be fine. I almost see no reason not to have that as a Lightning Claw. The Inceptors with the Bolters are pretty useful, especially for scoring secondaries and objectives. And then the Whirlwind as well, obviously sitting on the backfield objective, like you said, able to push out some suppression fire, be pretty reliable backfield objective holder. So yeah, if I was playing this, I'd probably take like Blade Guard, Assault Intercessors, and the Priest down the middle. I'd probably have the Captain and the Vanguard Veterans trying to move flank to flank. The Bikes in reserve. The Inceptors in reserve. I'd probably be prepared to bring them all in on turn 2. But I mean, if you need to wait to turn 3, it's fine. Just remember that the Inceptors do a lot more damage in turn 2. When I bring them in, I'd use Upon Wings of Fire. No, not Upon Wings of Fire, sorry. Descendant of the Angels on them to give them +1 to hit, because they do only hit on 3s, and I think the +1 to hit can make a bit of a difference when they come in. And they just, if they come in turn 2 with a -2 AP and you're hitting on 2s, they can just shred enemy infantry. This is a nice little list. It's a little bit sad there's no Sanguinary Guard, but I think the Lightning Claw Vanguard Veterans and the Blade Guard on the smaller board are fine. On the smaller board, the Blade Guard are probably a very competitive option here. And I'd probably run them forward and advance them in turn 1. What would reserves off board be? How many points worth? Well, the attack bikes, if you split them up, they're just 2 points per. So you'd spend 1 CP to put both attack bikes into the reserve, and then I'd probably put the Inceptors. I don't think you need to reserve anything else here. The only other option I think would be to reserve the Assault Intercessors, because they could also be put in for 1 CP. Like, that's power level 9 if you do both attack bikes and the Assault Intercessors. You could do that. I guess you could think about that, but I'd be prepared to... Unless you're confident you can hide the bikes where the enemy cannot shoot them in any way, shape, or form, and they have no indirect fire, I would reserve them. If you're confident you can hide them, then I'd put them on the table. And yeah, I think this list is absolutely fine. the Sangori Priest is a bit of a conundrum at 90 points, isn't he? I mean, I guess he's getting one unit into Assault Doctrine earlier, but I don't think it's going to give you a whole lot of benefit. The 6-up Shrug is okay, but it's not brilliant. I guess you can spend 1 CP if you want to bring a dead Blade Guard back to life. I mean, that's probably decent, right? Paying 1 CP each turn, or a couple of turns in the middle of the game to boost your Blade Guard back up to an extra model. That's probably the most value you get out of another character. I'm trying to think if there was a different character that I would prefer over the Priest for the same sort of points. The only thing that could possibly work would be a Librarian, but I don't think you synergize particularly. Like the units here don't benefit from a Librarian, right? Because the Blade Guard and the Vanguard Veterans already have invuln saves, so you get no value out of Psychic Fortress here. So let me see what people in chat are saying. Could we get a Thunder Hammer on the Intercessor Sergeant? Not without dropping something, I guess. Steel Range says the list needs more Sangori Guard. Yeah, I mean, okay. Sangori Guard. If you went 4 Blade Guard Veterans for 140 points, and you went like 5 Sangori Guard over the Vanguard Veterans. I mean, Sangori Guard do more damage, but Vanguard Veterans, Lightning Claws, and Storm Shields on the smaller game size, I'm fine with it. I think both are pretty good options. I think you've got a good balance between the melee and the shooting here, because in the smaller game you're gonna, 2 attack bikes and Inceptors. I feel like that's a good amount of shooting. I think your Captain and your Vanguard Veterans will be able to wreck. The Blade Guard should be reasonably survivable going down the middle. Yeah, I mean, the only character then, actually, that I think you could swap this out would be a Judiciar would work here, right? Because he's like 85 points compared to the 90 points of the... Cannot spell Judiciar. Apparently not. My 1k list is 14 Sangori Guard. That does not surprise me. That really doesn't surprise me. Might not have enough elite slots for Judiciar though. Is a patrol detachment, isn't it? Yeah, it's only at 2 elite slots. Yeah, so you can't even take the Judiciar. Okay. Is the Sangori Priest in this list worth it? Is there anything that you could run that's better than it? I don't think so. Highland says yes, he feels it is. Okay. Yeah. I mean, oh, that's the wrong image. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with patrol detachments. You're kind of limited. But yeah, I think here's another 1k list with 7 dreadnoughts. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna do some shrugging and you're gonna bring some back Blade Guards, and it's a smaller size game, yeah, I think it's okay. I think this is a good backbone for a list. If you're just returning from the hobby, I guess as you move forward towards 2,000 points, I think the things you need are infiltrators. Infiltrators, but build them as incursors because they just come in a box called Primaris Infiltrators. Build a couple of squads of incursors. I think you probably want a couple of dreadnoughts. The popular ones right now are either Redemptors or Relic Contemptors, and then I think you want at least 10 Sangori Guard. If you want to listen to chat, you need 25 Sangori Guard. But yeah, I mean, you need at least 10 of them, I think. And then that basically lets you build the battalion. You've got more obset, you've got more fast attack threats, and then you've got some heavy firepower to back it up. And that's kind of how I would recommend building this one forward. I don't know if I recommend suppressors. I mean, he's already got the whirlwind in the list, James Gibb. He doesn't need suppressors. Did I miss something here where there was some chat about suppressors being good? Because I tried running the suppressors a bunch of times, and we just never felt like you really got that good value out of them. 22 Sangre Guard. I mean, Sangre Guard are £25 a box now, so 22 of them, you're talking like £130, and then that gold spray is bloody expensive, Steel Rain, because I'd run out of gold spray. So I bought some gold spray this week, and it was like £18, and my local shop got closed from COVID, so I had to pay like £10 delivery on it. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm trying to think how many models you get to spray gold with that spray can. Maybe like 20? So you probably need 2 cans of gold spray. So to get gold airbrush paint, I don't have an airbrush. One day maybe. They're so squishy and they can't move. And they can't shoot without getting the -1 penalty. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with suppressors, you know? Like, I have 6 suppressors, and I started painting them because I was really excited about them. But even with the additional shot that they gave them from the last edition, because last edition the autobrushes only used to the autocannons used to only be 6. Even when they made it like 9, so 1 extra shot per gun, still don't think they're good. I think they're okay. Just don't think they're. Yeah, the gold rattle cans. Oh, it was a joke. Okay, sorry, my bad. The airbrush. Yeah, I mean, my garage is completely full in this new. I'm not even on. I don't know if you can. I've actually been unpacking today. Look, see behind me. So that shelf was there. I actually added like a whole other shelf. So like I got loads of stuff that was like all over the place. So I'm still unpacking. So maybe once we're all unpacked and everything, we'll consider getting an airbrush. But I would like to do the airbrush in my garage, and my garage just has so much crap in it at the moment. I'm working on it, you know. I don't know how long it'll be before I feel, but I'm so much happier with this room in that like I got some space. I got some space behind me now. So, and I actually filmed on Friday night. So last night I actually filmed like a non-Blood Angels video. So I'm going to put that up some night this week. So I was unboxing some unboxing some Kickstarter models that I got. So maybe you guys will like it. Maybe you won't. I have no idea how it will do because it would be the first video on the channel that is not Blood Angels related. It's still hobby related, but yeah, I think I've maybe made the audio a bit better in here as well. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a better computer so that I can do better video editing, because my computer, I think my computer is 10 years old this year. So it is crap basically. I wanted to stream that Battle Sector game because they gave me a free copy, and I streamed it like one night and it was like so laggy. The guys at Tabletop Titans really put me off airbrushing. All their models look kind of sloppy. Okay, I mean, I think with airbrushing you can do just as good job as you can. It should be in a museum. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of expecting the computer to fail at some point. Honestly, DTM, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't already. Like some part of the hardware is just gonna. Some part of the hardware is just going to die. No, I don't think you have to spend a lot right now, Lord, but graphics cards are insane. And I don't want to buy a cheapy shit graphics card that's going to make me need to buy another one again before too long. The Tabletop Titan guys play with half-painted minis. I mean, when I started my channel, I painted with half-painted minis, and sometimes I play against opponents that don't have painted minis, but I mean, most of mine are at least 3 colours now when they get on the board. Yeah, I think it was the Plastic Crackheads PC died during the tournament game that we were playing, me against Necrons. I did actually win that game, so I am actually in the next round of the tournament. I believe that's getting filmed Monday the 6th, unless anything changes. But that'll be me against Titans. I'm so off topic right now. We need to get back on. The scoring this list. I was going to say, did they post up the bracket? To make this any bigger. Yeah, so I beat John, so I'm here, and Gav beat Brett. So I play Gav. And I guess Andrew's playing Colin. I actually think Colin beat Andrew. Yeah, I think he beat Andrew. So Colin is essentially in the final. And then it'll be me or Gav joining him in the final. And then obviously the losers go down and come back. So this would be like the winner's bracket final. And then we've got the winner of that will play the winner of the loser bracket final for the actual victory. I think it gets a bit confused. Okay, anyway. Let me score this list. I don't have an airbrush brand recommendation, but it seems like a few people in here do, so maybe they could, maybe a few people could give some airbrush recommendations. So, this is going to be a different scoring. We're on a 1,000-point list. I guess one troop choice is probably okay in 1,000 points. We have a little bit of clear with the Inceptors and stuff, so I think overall Anti-Horde is probably fine. Lightning Claws, Blade Guard Veterans, Multi-Meltas, Anti-Vehicle is probably fine as well. Mobility is reasonably decent. The Blade Guard and the Assault Intercessors aren't mobile, the Priest as well, but overall it's pretty decent. And then Specialization, I guess, like, you do have a Fight Last, we don't have Denies, we do have some units that can do actions. 3 damage weapons, I think we just have the one on the Captain, the 2 Multi-Meltas. I mean, it's not terrible. And 5 CP and a little bit of protection against mortal wounds. I'd say it's like an 8, maybe even a 9. So this one, I'm just going to color code it slightly differently because it was like a 1,000-point list. So my scoring for a 1,000-point list isn't really... Scoring needs a category for just how many Sanguinary Guard are on the list. Maybe it could just all be multiplied by the number of Sanguinary Guard at the end. Your GT... I think that's what I have, Highland Phoenix. A GTX 970. How do I check that again? Like, I think I can prove it. I forget how to get... It's this, isn't it? Yeah, here's my PC. So you can laugh all you want. i7 77K. When did that get released? June 2030. Alright, not 10 years, but pretty old. And I do have 16 gig of RAM, so that's something. Do I have to go into Device Manager for my graphics card? Device Manager. Display adapters. Yeah, I've got GTX 970. When did that get released? September 2014. Okay, so 7 years old on the graphics card, 8 years old. It's almost 2022, so I guess almost 8 on the graphics card, almost 9 on the CPU. Yeah, I mean, I'm I don't know, it feels pretty terrible. I mean, it's okay for me to play a game, right? But like, when I tried streaming, I wanted to play that Battle Sector game. You know, I'm sure you guys know the one that what was it? It was on Steam, like Steam Battle Sector. like a Blood Angels game. It's 15% off at the moment. There, I'll plug it for them as well. So if you've not played it, I'm going to play it on my channel at some point. And it seemed to play okay, but like the frame rate was poor when I was playing it, so the frame rate for the stream was just really poor. You got your 270 RTX right before the madness started. I am using an SSD, but I mean, I couldn't tell you what brand or whatever it is, and it's probably pretty old as well at this point because yeah, it's you know, PC gaming isn't really a focus of my. Do you know what? It plays Diablo 2, the remastered Diablo 2. It plays that okay. I've got that, and it played this okay as well. But the second I try and stream it, it's tragic. So yeah, that's my next upgrade. I'm gonna get better PC so we can stream this game. And I don't know if you guys know about this one. It's on my oh, this isn't my Steam. This is just Chaos. What is it called? Chaos Gate, maybe? Yeah, this. Don't know if you guys seen this game, Chaos Gate, but I think it's basically XCOM. Like it looks like XCOM, but you play Diablo 2 High Five. Yeah, I've been playing Amazon and Diablo 2. So I think this game is like XCOM, and I really, really like the XCOM game. They haven't given a release date, and also we were also going to play the new Dark Tide. Is it Dark Tide? So I want to play these games next year. So I'm going to buy a new PC. So we can there's no way my PC can render that. I'll tell you that right now. It's Space Marines XCOM, yeah. So I'm going to love Chaos Gate. I mean, it's turn-based strategy. I mean, that's what Warhammer is essentially, right? Turn-based strategy. A Grey Knights game. Yeah, I mean, it'd be better if it was Blood Angels, but I mean, it looks cool. It's Grey Knights versus Nurgle, I think, so I'm sure it'll be fun. Anyway, yeah, so we'll stream some of these games at some point. Maybe we can get some like viewer, because I don't really have any friends that I play video games with. I mean, I did maybe like 10 years ago, but not anymore. So like, if like I normally don't stream on a Friday night, so maybe on a Friday night if people have these games like Dark Tide or Chaos Gate or whatnot, I thought Relic graphics cards would give you Tech Marines +1 to wound. My Tech Marine needs to give this graphics card an upgrade. That's what needs to happen. And I'm also going to try and do a video this week on the next couple episodes of Warhammer Plus. I don't know if you guys have been watching it. I have been watching it. Angels of Death, I have seen episode 3 now, so maybe I'll do an episode about 3 or 4. And I think this week I'm going to be starting breaking down the tournament games that I played as well, so that I can explain my strategies, my deployments, and how I got to the top table of that GT that just came past. So there'll be like individual videos that are like 20 minutes long, looking at each game and talking about like how I managed the games and how I managed to get the wins. Because I mean, for some of you guys, maybe it won't be that useful, but for some people, I think it will be. Because people it always surprises me, you know, like, I guess at tournaments, how like sometimes players can just lose random games. Dark Tide looks sweet. Yeah, I mean, it was made by the guys that made Vermintide. I'm not a huge fan of Warhammer Fantasy. I have some Age of Sigmar, and I have some fantasy models, but not. And I know Warhammer Fantasy. I actually played Warhammer Age of Reckoning, the MMO. I'm seeing more and more 660C XT cards coming in the market. Yeah, I believe that the whole issue with the microchips and that is starting to get a bit more sorted or whatnot, because like for a while there no one could get new PlayStations, and the camera that I'm actually filming on right now was out of stock for like 6 months, and I'd like Googled like what is the best camera for filming on YouTube. And if you go back and watch my YouTube videos for like a year ago and you watch them now, they are both still 1080p, but the ones filmed a year ago look fucking terrible on the camera that I had before, and the ones filmed now look pretty decent. And like it's the same lighting, it's the same microphone and stuff. It's just the difference in the camera. And it took me ages to get that camera in stock. And when they finally did get the camera in stock, they were like, right, we've got the camera in stock, but we do not have any mains adapters. And I was like, oh, well, that's useful. So like the camera has to work on a battery. So like what, I'm going to make a stream, halfway through the stream be like, hold on guys, we need to change the fucking battery. So I'm still using a third party AC adapter for this camera, just because the official one wasn't in stock ever. So the West must make their own things again. Yeah. It has been kind of crazy. So cool. Alright, I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I hope if you haven't seen any of these episodes on Warhammer Plus, I think this is a pretty good show. I'm only 3 episodes in. The episodes aren't long enough. That's my main criticism. But like I've got like 4 or 5 here that I can watch now, so I'm gonna watch a few more and make some videos on this. And yeah, I'm still like, someone was asking me just last week, do I feel that there's value in Warhammer Plus? Like, you know, because I actually think Disney put their cost up, but Disney used to be like $4.99 as well, so this is $4.99 a month, and it was like, I haven't watched that much stuff on it in the 4 months I have it, right? Like I've really not watched more than like an hour or 2 hours of content. I've watched the 3 episodes of Angel of Death, and I watched the 1 Blood Angels battle report, and I didn't like the Blood Angels battle report because it wasn't, you know, when Games Workshop share pictures of Warhammer now, or share pictures of Blood Angels, it's like all Primaris forces, right? And the battle report they did was like all Primaris, but with just 1 squad of Sanguinary Guard. And I was like, yeah, no one's running that. Like, no one's running all Primaris with a single squad of Firstborn, right? Like, it's not optimal. No one's running it. So I feel like they're missing the beat with the battle reports, honestly. And yeah, I guess people agree. They think that the app needs more content. Cool. Alright guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I don't think we're going to be live tomorrow night because the Crackheads have they have one of the games in the tournament tomorrow. So we're going to be live on Tuesday this week. So if you were hoping to catch a live Blood Angels battle, it'll be Tuesday. I do not have an opponent yet, but I'm trying to get me an opponent this week. So that's that. Yeah, that's what they want you to run, Steel Rain. But it's I get that they want to sell Primaris units. I get that, right? They're their new product. Which company in this world would make a new product and not want to sell the new product? I have no problem with that. But I think what they miss, and what they're missing maybe, is the Primaris gel really well with the old models, right? Like, people often ask, like, can you make a fully Firstborn list? And I say, like, it's not optimal, but you can do it. People often ask, can I make a fully Primaris list? And I say, like, it's not optimal, but you can do it. So, if we know that anyway, then why don't they just push both? You know, like, push the old stuff and the new stuff. People will buy both. If they said, like, these Firstborn units really merit, they're complemented on the battlefield by this Primaris thing, I don't know. Seems to me like a no-brainer. But anyway, alright, I'm going to take off. I'll see you guys later. Should be live probably this Thursday as well with a painting stream. So enjoy your weekend, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate the support as always. By the blood are we made strong. Peace.
It needs more sanguinary guards.